Senator Rand Paul walked into that insulin hearing and did something no one expected. He defended the drug companies. While Bernie Sanders was grilling the CEOs of Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, and Sanofi over insulin prices, Rand Paul sat there and told them that capitalism was the answer, that the free market, not government pressure, was the only way to bring prices down. He called Sanders' line of questioning bullying. He told the CEOs that if they caved to political pressure and lowered prices, they would be breaching their fiduciary duty to shareholders. This is a United States senator speaking to the executives of companies that charge diabetics $275 for insulin that costs $5 to make. And his concern was protecting their profit margins. Watch what Rand Paul actually said to those CEOs on camera, and then tell me who he was really working for.
Taking away the consumer from the equation. Now, the consumer is only involved in drug prices through the copay or the deductible. And so much of healthcare, 80–90% of it's beyond that. And so how do we lower co-prices or we lower prices for drugs? People hire an intermediary. Dr. Kautzner, does anybody hire you, businesses, labor unions, because they want higher prices?
Absolutely not, Senator.
If you didn't provide lower prices, would they hire either another PBM or do it on their own?
So we exist in a highly competitive market. So if we didn't deliver the value that we commit to our clients, they would certainly go elsewhere.
So it's quite confusing. We want to blame PBMs for everything, but why do people hire them? No one's forcing anybody to hire them. So as I understand, the companies represented here represent tens of thousands of businesses who voluntarily come to you and hire you. And they pay you and you make a profit. So your profit, is it exorbitant? Is your profit, Ms. Cianfrocco, is your profit greater than the drug company somehow?
Senator, our margin is 4%, roughly 4% for the services we provide to all of our clients.
So that's about like Walmart. I mean, I'm surprised we don't have Walmart here today to beat up on Walmart. We're all unhappy, but we have to be rational about what we're doing. So spread pricing, everybody's like, oh, this terrible spread pricing. Dr. Kautzner, do you offer spread pricing and also pass-through pricing?
Yes, Senator, we offer both options to our clients today. Roughly 1/3 choose spread pricing, 2/3 choose a pass-through type of model. They choose spread pricing in order to have predictability on their pharmacy benefits, so we shield them from incremental costs because we effectively provide them with a guarantee or a lock-in on price.
Which is more expensive, spread pricing or pass-through pricing when you offer it?
So we're agnostic to the type of pricing that we offer. It's more for the client to make that decision.
Price. Is spread pricing cheaper or more expensive than pass-through pricing if I'm a customer?
Generally, they're going to be roughly equal in price or cost.
Ms.
There may be
same question.
You're referring to spread pricing as the mechanism where a client pays one price for all the pharmacy claims adjudicated. It offers predictability. In often cases, it offers controlled pricing and can be less expensive than if they pay every claim on a pass-through model, but both are offered to our clients.
This needs to be pretty clear, and people need to think through. We have a bill before us to ban spread pricing. So at least one of the companies, and I think others have said this, spread pricing is less expensive than pass-through pricing. So we're going to ban the cheaper form of buying your drug insurance. Why would we ban the cheaper form? It sounds like if you ban the cheaper form, you might get the opposite result of what you're intending. You might actually get higher prices. Not to mention why we should be banning any of this, but is there a possibility you ban spread pricing and then people decide to add more of a fee on the pass-through pricing? Because, see, their obligation is to their stockholders, and they're legally bound to make a profit. So if you tell them they can't make a profit here, wouldn't they have to try to make a profit somewhere else if they're going to please their stockholders? But the thing is we haven't thought this through. We're angry. Everybody's angry. I'm angry. I've gone to the drugstore before and seen something for $1,600, an acne cream. So we're angry. But why is it so obscure? Why is it different than electronics? Why is it different than buying a car? Why is it different than a lot of expensive things? Because we've made it opaque through all of these different things that we've mandated. In the 1930s, we passed antitrust law, the Robinson-Patman Act, and we made it illegal to pass through discounts based on volume. And then we had a court case in the 90s that says you have to move market share and all these complicated things to get these rebates. But the bottom line is, in a free society, rational thinking, labor unions and businesses and health organizations are choosing a PBM. Why are they choosing a PBM? Do you think they want higher prices? And if a PBM is gouging, then why don't they go to another PBM? There's like 70 some odd PBMs. And yet we've got it in our heads somehow we're going to forbid this. So in the Licenpro example, Dr. Couchner, so what happens to that? If we have a $25 copay and you got $100 Humalog and you got a bigger rebate and you're going to make more profit on the rebate, are you keeping Licenpro off of your list, or can I get Licenpro if I'm a business and I have people who are diabetic in my business?
Thanks for the question, Senator. So our focus is on lowest net cost of the product. And so that's where we're focused the most. And as we all know, all insulins are not created equal. We actually separate insulins into 3 different categories as well. But our focus is lowest net cost to patients.
Let's say they were equal. You had Humalog and Licenpro. It's the same thing. And Licenpro's $100 and you get a $75 rebate to make it $25. So now we're equal price to the business you're selling your plan to, but there is more rebate. Does that mean you're excluding Licenpro from a list that if I'm a business, is it somehow working that way to exclude cheaper generics is my question.
Our focus is on where lowest net cost is available for products.
So I think there is a possibility, and I think that might be one complaint. There is a possibility of this. However, here's the rub. They are still giving you the lowest net price. And so if you say, well, gosh, the generic, I'd rather have the generic, it's underneath the copay. So it's outside of what the negotiation is. And so that's the only way it's going to make a difference to the consumer. But actually, I think that in the long run, as we look at it, the net cost is still what we're looking at. And so when everybody shakes their head and says, oh, the net cost, the list price mean absolutely nothing, the same way they mean nothing in medicine. But the thing is, we got this complicated thing. This isn't capitalism. We got this because of antitrust laws in the 30s. We got this from a court case based on the antitrust law in the 90s. And we have this complicated system. But instead of trying to unravel the complications we put on the market, what we're asking is to ban certain contracts. So I think what you're going to have in the end is you're going to have the unintended consequences of doing something, trying to make things better, and actually make the situation worse.
Senator Paul, thank you. Senator Baldwin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to our witnesses today. In preparation for this hearing, I was reflecting back a few years when this very committee had held several hearings on drug prices, and we had panels not totally unlike the one we have today, with representatives from PBMs and representatives from drug companies, and a lot of finger pointing. And I remember a few weeks after those hearings having then Secretary of HHS Alex Azar in front of us, who was formerly associated with a pharmaceutical company as an executive. And I was reading a letter that I got from a constituent. It was a father, 2 sons, both with juvenile diabetes. And he was talking about just how much the family had to spend each month to keep his sons healthy. And at the end of sharing that letter, I said to Secretary Azar, or asked, what should I tell my constituent about why these costs are so high? And he said, it's complicated. That's what he said. It's complicated. That's not an answer I can provide to my constituents who struggle with this. And there was just a discussion by one of my colleagues about opaqueness and lack of transparency. I find that basically an issue of the industry not being transparent. When I ask questions like, help me follow the dollars, if you double the price of a drug, help me figure out who's pocketing that extra price. And I get, it's complicated as an answer. If we're going to make good policy, we have to have more transparency. And it's why I'm glad this committee is working on measures to achieve that. But one thing I can say when we look at people versus profits is greed is not complicated. Prescription drug manufacturers tell us they invest significant resources in research and development. PBMs tell us they invest significant resources in making drugs more affordable and accessible to patients. But both industries are also working overtime for profits and self-enrichment. Mr. Ricks, yes or no, did Eli Lilly conduct $1.5 billion in stock buybacks in the year 2022?
I believe that's approximately the number.
Mr. Joyner, yes or no, did CVS Health conduct $3.5 billion in stock buybacks in 2022?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
If I had the consolidated statement or consolidated financial statements in front of me that indicated such, would you agree that that's the figure?
I would.
Dr. Kotzner, yes or no, did Express Scripts parent company Cigna conduct $7.6 billion in stock buybacks in 2022?
I believe that that's accurate, Senator. Yes.
Ms. Cianfrocco,